So the further we go in this season of American Horror Story, I feel like it's becoming more just a Coven sequel. And I feel like that's going to be really divisive for fans, but I'm actually really enjoying what they're putting on screen every single week. So let's talk about it. Hey YouTubers, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. Enjoy the video. So as I said, this American Horror Story season, American Horror Story Apocalypse, is starting to feel like a Coven straight up sequel. I know there's been hints and just kind of allusions to other seasons and even going back to Murder House. There's just a lot going on here, but I feel like this episode in particular, episode 7, entitled Traitor, was just an entire flashback, really getting into the vibe of going back to the Coven from season 3 and focusing on these characters. And it's kind of strange to me considering the first 3 episodes of this season were really focused on what happened at the end of the apocalypse. And now, at least up into episode 8, we're going to be dealing with the flashbacks and just really building up the story as to how the apocalypse happened. But with that being said, man, this is a good episode. I would be completely lying if I said that this wasn't a fantastic episode. I mean, it starts off, at least what I think, is probably the most horrifying thing that we've ever gotten in an American Horror season since probably, even though Coven wasn't very scary, all the stuff with the voodoo, every time they see it, show it, is just so horrific and strange looking that it's like, okay, I understand where they're going here and I want to continue watching it. You know, I want to see where they actually take that. So we got the voodoo queen, or at least the new voodoo queen, doing tricks for money, you know, like trying to get that green, as she says, as Cordelia goes up to her and is like, hey, you know, you need to help me with this situation with the Antichrist. I need to speak to the voodoo devil, Papa Lengba, if I'm even saying that correctly. But we get this fantastic scene between the 3 of them while the voodoo devil comes out, and he tells Cordelia that he will help her. She asks him, okay, I need you to open up the gates of hell because you are the keeper of the gates of hell, and I'm going to trick Michael into going into hell and trap him there forever. And he tells her, bringing in Nan from Coven, you know, she kind of was taken out by Fiona back then, but bringing in Nan and saying, I want all of your girls. I'm going to help you, but I like what Nan's doing for me. I want every single one of the girls in your Coven. Cordelia just can't simply push herself to do that, and she doesn't make the deal. He leaves. That's fantastic. I think the idea that these characters still have a soul, these characters figure out a different way to fight Michael and not going to the greatest extremes possible in order to win, that like set the tone for the rest of the entire episode. And it really built off this concept of the Coven that we left from season 3 is still a family of these witches, and they are going to stick by each other. And it's just one of the things they keep hitting on in this episode over and over and over again. And I feel like this is one of the reasons the franchise fandom, like as a whole, like there's a lot of people in the comment section who think Coven in particular, out of all the stories told in this anthology series, deserves to have its own spin-off series. I mean, there's just a lot going on there. There's a lot of world building they can do, and these characters are inherently interesting. That's one of the reasons I enjoyed this episode, is, you know, getting to see the murder house again, getting all of the cast characters back from season 1. That was epic. I like that. But the Coven characters and the family that they created throughout 3rd season of the show, and now what they're bringing them back, and they really, at least in my opinion, haven't lost a step. It's one of the reasons I think a lot of people are right. Coven has a lot going on for it, and it's probably one of the reasons this season, at least in terms of American Horror Story, is must-watch television in my opinion. So, guys, what are your thoughts on that? But let's get right back to how this actually ends up playing out. So, just to kind of steamroll through a bunch of things that went on, I have been talking to you guys in my various discussion videos over the last couple weeks that American Horror Story Asylum has to be connected to this season. And while we didn't get a confirmation here, I want everyone to just go back and remember an American Horror Story Asylum. I believe it was episode 8, and it could have been titled Unholy Nights or whatever, the Christmas episode from that season, where we got that psycho Santa that kept going around. They kept showing like how the different times and everything he was interacting with everyone, and then he eventually came to the asylum. They totally ripped that off here, and I don't know why. Maybe it was just kind of a nod back to that or whatever. Did I miss something? Tell me in the comment section below if I missed something really big, but to me that felt like a huge nod to that character and a huge nod to American Horror Story Asylum. At least if people are to be believed in these theories, the very fact that Emily might be a descendant from Kit from Asylum, his granddaughter or something, and have some connection to the aliens, and that's where we're getting to the very end of the season. Not sure if that's going to happen. I just would really like it. It would connect every single season and make this kind of the culmination factor. I like the idea, but what that really gave us was Bubbles, this new witch who can read people's minds, and they have Myrtle and Madison recruit Bubbles in order for them to go back to the Warlock's hideout and try to figure out exactly what they're doing. More specifically, they want to see what Michael's going to do or what he's thinking, what he's capable of. But that's not really what ends up happening because Michael is off doing his own thing, which from the preview for next week, it looks like that's what we're going to be watching, right? He's going to be trying to find himself. So they cook dinner for the Warlocks, and they see that they have done some horrific things. They have finally gotten confirmation from a lot of things that have been building up over the last couple weeks, and that's what really gets this episode roaring off. They're trying to figure out how to stop or at least take out all of Michael's co-conspirators in this whole apocalyptic situation, because as strong as Michael is, they need to figure out a way to stop him from getting any support in order for them to have a leg up sometime during this fight, because he is so much stronger than everyone else involved in this season. On the other hand, one of the things that goes on during this episode is that they start to see just the extent of Mallory's power and the very fact that everyone's starting to believe that yes, she might be the new Supreme and it's not actually Michael, because they all know at this point that this kid is actually the Antichrist. So with Mallory showing off her powers by saving Coco, as Coco is actually displaying new powers, they start giving her the 7 wonders. Through that, they bring back John Henry in order to give him a leg up with actually fighting Michael. So with John Henry and Behold, they have everybody in the Coven along with those two. They have some considerable fighting power, and I'm wondering how we're actually going to get to the beginning of this season with all these flashbacks. Like, how do they lose this? Or do they lose on purpose? Or how is that actually going to play out? Tell me in the comment section below what you think is actually going to go on there. But because everyone is still on edge, Cordelia tells everyone that she has been feeling this coming for quite some time, and we get a flashback of 2 years before the apocalypse while Cordelia actually brought back Myrtle from death, and that's why she's back. I think it's really interesting that they're going to do the best they can to build up the Coven and allow it to have, at least is what it seems like right now, one grand final stand. Maybe it's after the apocalypse. I feel like that would make more sense, because if they actually did the best they could right before it and they actually lost people and now they're making a final stand after their first final stand, I don't really know what that's going to happen. So with Mallory basically the new Supreme, they start celebrating and they take Coco, really bringing in Miss Mead to the situation. They know that she's a co-conspirator of everything Michael's been doing, so they have Coco go and basically be a pawn in their game, allowing Miss Mead to feel overly confident in her situation and taking her just to burn her on the stake, along with the other Warlocks that Cordelia goes and takes advantage of. She shows them that she still has a lot of power left in her, and makes me wonder, what is going to happen to her power? Are they going to turn off Mallory and just allow Cordelia to have power and be surviving this long, when it seems like she's almost out the door right now? Like, she has lost so much power. Or is there going to be a mix-up? And this is what I was saying, that Mallory's power, as unique and interesting as they've been showcasing it over the last couple of weeks, I think it might be closer to that of an angel instead of a witch, and maybe all of this is actually on Michael. He's using certain powers in order to make Cordelia weaker, just because he doesn't want her to actually fight him. Or maybe it's Satan, or maybe it's some other divine entity that we haven't been really exposed to any time during this season. But it's possible that Mallory and Michael are not actually the exact same Supreme candidates. Like Cordelia is going to continue as the Supreme at the end of this season, and it definitely makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think a lot of people like the concept of Cordelia and everything she had to go through in season 3. It seems a little bit too soon in order to have her step down or even die in order to allow Mallory to be the new Supreme. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think Mallory is a good Supreme, or do you think that she's an angel? Tell me in the comment section below. But with that being said, everyone burned on the stake. It looks like next week's episode we're going to figure out what Michael was doing during this whole hiatus, and at the same time, hopefully we're going to get back to whatever apocalypse actually occurred and where that actually occurred sometime in the future of this season, hopefully in episode 9, but it could be as late as episode 10. I think that's waiting too long. But as far as what we've been getting over the last 2 weeks, I think it's been absolutely phenomenal. This whole concept of bringing back the Coven witches and really showcasing their family love towards each other and the group dynamic that they share is just, at least in my opinion, some of the best stuff American Horror Story has ever given to us, and I understand the fan love when it comes to the Coven witches and the Coven storyline. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. And hey, if you want to talk with me a little bit easier, go follow me on Twitter. I am always on Twitter. So if you want to talk to me about American Horror Story, the Saw franchise, Halloween franchise, box office numbers, any type of horror-related content, Walking Dead, The Purge, anything, or even anime, I'm always on there to have a good time and just chat with everyone. So hope everyone's having a fantastic day. It's been real.